So this movie was a waste of my time. So today's movie is Firestarter. It's about a couple desperately trying to hide their daughter Charlie from a shadowy federal organization that wants to use her pyrokinetic power as a weapon of mass destruction. Her father taught her how to defuse the power, but as Charlie turns 11, the fire becomes harder and harder to control. And when a mysterious operative finally finds the family, he tries to seize Charlie once and for all, but she has other plans. So just going off the synopsis, because I don't watch trailers, I was intrigued and I didn't watch the original, so I was quite curious as to how the movie plays out. Spoiler alert, it's bad. Like really, really bad. So after waking up from a nightmare, Andy, Charlie's father, decides to go check on her, but she isn't in her room. So he went looking for her and found her in the kitchen playing with a lighter. Andy stops her and sits with her and asks what's wrong, and she tells him that she can feel some sort of shift, like something is changing. And he tries to reassure her that everything is going to be fine by having her go over what she needs to do to calm down or something. And he says that the bad thing has been gone for a long time, but that doesn't mean you're in the clear though. It can literally pop up at any time. Just saying. Then the wife Victoria comes in and asks if everything is okay, to which he responds, peachy. Now, if my daughter, the one who has the powers, said that something feels off, I wouldn't be so nonchalant about it. And I wouldn't say yeah, peachy. I'll tell my wife so she can know, so if the powers were to manifest at any point, both of us would be ready and able to deal with it. This is something you're gonna see regular in this movie, is that Andy keeps making bad decisions. So apparently, Andy and Victoria were a part of a secret experiment that gave them both psychic abilities. Andy can mind control people, and Victoria has telekinesis. And my first thought is that you have powers and you have the audacity to say that it's been gone for a long time, nothing to worry about. So Andy works as a therapist, but he just uses his powers to fix people. And I thought that this would be a topic that the movie would want to go into and talk about, like whether it is right to use your powers on civilians or is it wrong. But it doesn't really. Like, it gets brought up in one scene, gets brushed over, and then that's it. So as I said before, Andy uses his powers to fix people. Like this one woman that had a nicotine addiction, and he was able to make her stop being addicted to it and be repulsed by it, which I thought was a nice thing. But then if you look any deeper, you can just see that he was doing it for money. And his powers does have some drawbacks though. After he uses it, he gets what looks like a headache, then stomach pain, then he bleeds from his right eye. Honestly, sometimes superpowers are more of a curse than a blessing. So Charlie is at school, and she's predictably the weird girl. But does she have to be though? I mean, she could be popular, or at least have one friend. In almost every movie like this, the child always has to be isolated. And there's this one kid that makes fun of her because her parents are Amish, and it looks like she was gonna get upset and use her powers, but she started doing the thing her father taught her to do to control herself, which is to just name stuff around her. Okay, that's fine, I guess. Why do people insist on making characters do and say dumb things? Can I get a competent character, please? Or am I asking for too much? Victoria wants to train Charlie so she can control her abilities better and decrease the risk of being found out, while Andy wants Charlie to just shove it down and keep it hidden. She did it before and she can do it again. And I would assume that someone who also has powers would actually make better decisions. But I guess I was wrong. What do you mean shove it down? It's gonna build up until she explodes, and only God knows how bad that's gonna be. And apparently you're hiding from someone? And you really think the best solution is her shoving it down? That's stupid. I mean, she cannot control her abilities, And sooner or later, that little thing she does to calm herself down is not gonna work. Bro, I hate stupid characters so much. And I get her learning how to use her powers can be dangerous, but it's either that or her going on a rampage and murdering thousands because she can't control it. Dude, I kid you not, the next scene literally proved my point. Charlie got angry and couldn't calm down, so she ran into the bathroom and she turned on all the faucets and hid in a stall. And the room was so hot, all the water evaporated and the stalls were burning hot. Then she blew off one of the stall doors and a teacher saw. So now the teacher is talking to the parents about what happened, and luckily, they think that she used something to cause the explosion, but unluckily, the police wants to investigate it further. I literally just predicted that this would happen. And what's funny is that the next scene, Charlie loses control again and sets her mom's arm on fire. The whole movie just be proving my point. So for the first time in the whole movie, Andy brings up a valid point. Charlie's powers could have drawbacks and he doesn't want her to go through that. Now I get how you feel, but it's either she hurts herself learning to control or at least have some hold on her powers, or she burns everything and kills everyone around her. Take your pick. So whoever is looking for them found them and hired a guy named Rainbird who's a telepath to hunt down and bring Charlie back alive. By the way, Andy could have mind controlled Charlie to control her powers, but he doesn't even know what happens in people's mind when he mind controls them, so he doesn't want to do that. And I can see why, but the alternative isn't so good. She could kill everyone around her, including her parents. So Andy and Charlie went out for ice cream, leaving Victoria home alone, and Rainbird is just there now. I don't know how he got there, and I'm pretty sure he doesn't even know how he got there, but he's just there now. And we don't get no backstory or context as to Rainbird. He's just in the movie for some reason. Let me just say, the whole of this didn't need to happen. If you made some adjustments like teaching your daughter how to control her powers, not lie to her about why they have to move around and why they can't have Wi-Fi, then she could have been aware of her situation and wouldn't have a reason to flare up, pun intended, against her parents and burn her mother's arms, but whatever. Right now it's Victoria versus Rainbird, and while they're fighting, Andy and Charlie come back. Inside, Rainbird holds Charlie at knife point, and Andy tries to mind control Rainbird, but it doesn't work. Charlie starts getting angry, and the room starts heating up, and a door opened, and Victoria's body fell onto the floor, and Charlie loses it and sends out a wave of heat, fire, or whatever, that pushes Rainbird back and sets the kitchen on fire, and they ran away, and Rainbird survives. The action scenes in this movie are pretty lackluster. It's just this happens, and then this happens, and then this happens, and then on to the next scene. Charlie has telekinesis, and she was able to move a piece of metal with her mind, which is great. And if you want to know the kind of father Andy is, listen up. Charlie accidentally burns a cat, and instead of comforting her while she's crying and move her away from the cat while he kills the cat, he tells her that the cat is in pain and she has to put him out of his misery. And she says that she didn't mean to, and he said he knows, but this is what it costs. We wouldn't even be here and she wouldn't have to kill a helpless cat if you would have just taught her control. Then he says it can't be a reaction, it has to be a decision. That's the only way to control it. And that's probably the only sensible thing he has ever said. Then he watches her as she murders a helpless cat. Oh my. And it took your wife being dead and you on the run to finally decide to teach your daughter how to control her powers. Man. Anyway, Captain Hollister is the boss of the organization hunting them, and she visits a doctor who used to work for them, and she says she wants to learn more about Charlie and help her control her powers, and he says she wants to exploit Charlie, and I agree. She's not fooling anyone, and he also says that she can potentially cause a nuke. with just the force of her mind, and Hollister still wants to pursue her. And I don't know about you, but I'm not chasing someone that has the ability to cause a nuclear explosion. No, thank you. I'm good. So just to speed run through this part, Andy and Charlie got a ride from a passing driver. He invites them to stay at his house. The next day the cops show up. Rainbird kills the cops. Then the organization pops up out of nowhere, arrests Rainbird, and captures Andy, and Charlie gets away. So after a montage of Charlie learning how to use her powers, she heads out to find her father, but she's stalked by three kids, and she uses mind control to take one of their bikes and one of them's clothes, and she continues her journey. So Charlie finds the place somehow, gets inside and interrogates one of the agents, and she got his phone and access card, and he pulled a gun on her, and she instinctively burned him, and he's barely alive, and she repeats what her father told her and murders him. And she's not even bothered by the fact that she just killed a man. Oh well. So she makes her way to her father, they exchange words, and then Hollister starts talking, then Andy mind controls his daughter to burn the building down, starting with him and Hollister. So she burns them both alive and kills more people and spared Rainbird for some reason. And the movie ends with Rainbird holding her in his arms as they walk off. Rainbird, the guy who killed her mother, but I'm expecting this movie to make sense, but he's just not delivering on that. What did I just watch? What the hell did I just watch? This movie is a waste of time. Things just happen in this movie, especially at the last part. The only character worth talking about is Victoria, who is debatably, not even debatably, is the best written character in the movie. Avoid this movie like the plague. You don't even know what the organization even does or what their goal is. They're just here for whatever reason, and you don't get any context on them or the woman in charge. The setup for this movie needs work. The characters need work. The story needs work. Everything needs work. Who approved this? This movie is garbage. This movie serves no purpose. This movie. You know what? I'm just gonna stop right here. Goodbye.